say, man, I don't know her. She's too quiet.
What up, though? It's your girl, She's Too Quiet, and welcome to the She's Too Quiet podcast. This podcast is all about remembering that your voice matters. Although people may not tell you, they are interested in you. They want to know what you're into, what you like, what you don't like, what you listen to, and what you don't listen to. Continue to talk. Your voice does matter. On today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about womanhood and motherhood. This is a little disclaimer before you get into the podcast. I will be talking about a sensitive subject for some, along the lines of losing a child. So if this is too much for you, please continue on to the next episode. But if you are willing to listen, please tune in. Let's hop right into it. So I am currently thinking about what I would be like as a mother. Because I'm quiet, I wonder how I would talk to my children. I wonder how I would kind of lead and guide them in the different areas of their life. I think sometimes we may not spend enough time thinking about how we would like to parent or how we would like to be a woman in our husband's lives. And I've just been thinking about that lately. So, one of the things that kind of has been resounding with me about having kids is the importance of introducing them to the right things at the right time. For example, in today's society, children are in love with technology. They have their iPads, they want phones, they want the screens, they want the smartwatches, they want TV. They are interested in anything technology wise. So, when is the right time to introduce your child to a phone? When is the right time to introduce your child to a tablet? What kind of things will they run into? What kind of things will you now have to shield them from with this new form of access that they'll have with these devices? And I began to think to myself, yeah, I see that that's going to be a hard decision to make. I see the point to where you would want to implement a phone or a tablet into your child's life. And us and parents and humans, we want to be the best we can be to our child. We want them to love us. We want them to enjoy us. And sometimes it's a hard thing to kind of set up those boundaries. And we wonder, am I being too hard on them? Am I being too laxed on them? So I definitely see where that can be a hard decision to make. Also, we do have to keep in mind that although they are children and they're growing up, right, we're going to be shaping adults. Children, of course, are the heart of a parent, right? It's literally you in real life. You're looking into a part of you and they're looking back at you. And you have to make sure that you are guiding them not to just be your daughter, not to just be your son, but you're guiding them to be a good adult, a good person that's going to be walking the earth when you leave. And it's very important that we keep that in mind, that we're shaping adults even as they're young. And then another thing comes in, is like, you want to make sure that your child is a child, right? You don't want to introduce too much to them to where they can't enjoy the part of their life where they are worry free, you know? Sometimes we can introduce things into their lives too soon, and it may rob them of their childhood. For example, what age do you subject them to a funeral, to where you would explain to them what happened and what this is? And is there a moment where it's too soon? So that's something I'm like, wow, that's true, that's deep. Like, when do you do that? I do realize now how much wisdom plays a part into being a parent and even a woman to, my spouse. Because, of course, too, you have to think about your spouse and what they may want to do with your child. Yes, you had the child, but there was someone that helped make that child too, that you have to kind of take opinions from, that it has to weigh in on the situations. It is both of you guys' child. It's not just your child, although you birthed them. So that's another dynamic that has to come into play. Another thing is that I realize that there are so many parents out there who give their children things because they didn't have it as a child. And I'm worried about that because I used to think the same way. I used to be like, oh, because my parents had me, doing this all the time, I'm not going to have my kids do that. But every parent who's a good parent, they are always trying to do the best that they can. And sometimes we hold that against them because we feel like they didn't have to be so hard on us or they didn't have to treat us this way. But in reality, it's their first time being parents. They were never parents before. Like, I understand if you had like 4 children, 5 children, yeah, you parented before at certain age blocks, but essentially, this is their first time being a parent. So they are trying to do what they think is right. And I used to think that that was going to be my mindset, but the older I get and the more I kind of realize, I can't set that precedent in my household to be, because I didn't do this, now my kids can. It all goes back to wisdom. What's a wise decision, Just because I could never have soda growing up, my kids can now have all the soda they want and now their teeth rotten, and oh yeah, I'm just doing that to spite my parents. No, I can't do that. So talking to some people kind of reframe my mind on those kind of principles that growing up that I had set out for my kids that will probably be no longer. I think Mariah Carey said it best.
I'll do the best I can with what I got. Oh.
I was talking to a store associate and she had told me that she told her mom, I am happy with the mother that you're giving my siblings. Like, I didn't get this mother, but I'm glad you're this type of mother to them. I was like, whoa, you told your mom that? Like, I understand you may feel that, but me as a quiet person, I don't voice everything. I be feeling a way a lot of times about stuff, but I don't say it. But I'm like, wow, you told your mom that? And I told her too. I said, she was just probably doing the best that she could. And, you grew up, she's seen some things, and now she's able to change how she operates with the younger ones, And she told me, she was like, oh, yeah, yeah, I didn't say that as a bad thing. And I didn't want her to take it as a bad thing. But, they definitely got a better version of her than I did. And I was like, okay, I understand, but woo, that's heavy, ain't it? I don't know how I would feel if my daughter was like, you know, my siblings got a better you than I did. I'm like, I see what you saying, but dang, fam, that's crazy. So I'm like thinking in my head, like, I don't want that to be me. I want to try to be as balanced as I can. But the reality is, a lot of parents try to do that. They try to be balanced. It's just, the more you learn, the more you grow, the more you know. It's more than just picking baby names. Now, I have a list of baby names. So whenever I have my babies, I hope that, me and my husband will go through my list and we can find something on my baby name list. But it's more than that. We're literally going to be raising adults. And even from the aspect of womanhood, like I mentioned earlier, there's a movie on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's still on there, but it's called Pieces of a Woman. And this movie is wild. It's about this woman. She had a home birth, and stuff didn't go right during the home birth. And so the midwife was there, and ultimately the baby passed away. And now they were suing the baby's midwife, or the midwife, because they felt like she didn't do all she could to keep the baby alive. Now, if you plan on watching this movie, go ahead and pause this podcast and go and watch the movie and come back and listen to the rest. There may be some spoilers in this podcast for you, but if you don't plan on watching the movie, I'll just go ahead and tell you a few things. Now, I am a quiet person, and therefore I am a sensitive person. I'm not sure, I can't really say, according to my research, I can't say that all quiet people are sensitive, but for me in particular, I'm a sensitive person. So this movie made me cry multiple times. I'm into drama, I'm into those kind of movies where you meet the love of your life and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm interested in all of those like traumatic things that happen that causes, the human race to kind of break down emotionally and stuff. I like to watch all that kind of stuff so I can cry. Let me tell you what, women are so strong, because some of the things that this woman had to go through during this whole movie, it just really opened my eyes to how tough it is to be a woman. So, like, after the miscarriage happened, she has to go back to work. And mind you, of course, she's been out of work. I want to say she worked at like a marketing firm or a law firm, something like that. But someone was at her desk when she got back, right? So it's like you're already low, right? And then you can't even come back into your environment that you left prior the same way, Now there's somebody at your desk, so they're like moving stuff around to kind of give her space back. And that was like, ooh, ouch. And then, like, during the day, of course, after something like that happens to your body, you're still dealing with the aftermath. So you may be still like leaking a little bit. So she goes in the bathroom and she's like changing herself. And it's like, man, that's another reminder. So she keeps getting these reminders that she lost her child. And she did have a husband, of course, in the movie, which was Shia LaBeouf. And he's trying to be really supportive in the beginning. So he was like really trying to support her, see if she needed anything, trying to help her with all of the arrangements. Of course, like I said before, they felt like some foul play was going on. So they're struggling with the guy from the autopsy place, trying to make sure that, they do everything properly. And literally at that place, I got so like, are you serious? Because they were really trying to objectify the situation. Like, they weren't really keeping in mind that this was a child that didn't make it. Like, they were just referring to the baby loosely and stuff like that. And there's a point where the woman had to let him know, like, you're talking about so and so, like she said the baby's name, to make it real. Like, this is not just something, although you see this every day, it's still my child that we're talking about. So it's like instances in that movie like that just like tapped on you, on your heart, like, oh my gosh, like, why are they being so insensitive to such a sensitive situation? And even on, like, they're trying to pick out the gravestone and the plot and stuff like that, and she wanted it a certain way, and they were just giving her a hard time about it. And it's like, guys, come on, like, bear with her. And anyways, the husband, he was really trying to be supportive, and there was a point where he was like, this is too much for us. We need to leave town. We need to get out of this environment. It's super heavy right now, and we just need to go somewhere so we can start healing. And a little bit of his backstory, he had dealt with some, I think it was alcoholism issues, and he was recovering from that. And so now this is something else that he has to recover from, and he's trying to do it like in a healthy way. But his wife was just not with it. She was grieving tremendously, and she didn't go. She didn't want to go. And eventually, he ends up cheating on her with a close family friend. And in the midst of all of this, there's still a trial about to happen for the midwife. And it was just a crazy story. You can really see all of the emotions. There's a grandmother involved, so you can kind of see the emotions of the grandmother. You can see the emotions of the aunt, so it's a very well put together movie. After thinking about it, they really did their thing when they put it together, because you can kind of see all of the angles, all of the breakdowns. You can feel everything that they felt literally in the movie. So check it out if you're interested in kind of seeing what that's about. Shout out to all the women out there, all of the parents as well, but today shining some light on the women who are really trying to be good parents and good mothers out there. We do really appreciate you. Now, this movie, I think it was like rated R or something like that. So just keep that in mind. Right? Do y'all notice it's hard to find movies that ain't rated R and stuff anymore? But I just want to caution you on that. So thank you for tuning into this podcast. If you are interested in listening more, please follow me on wherever podcasts are found. Please like, share, and put some comments down below, especially if you're a mother. Put your name down there. I love to see who you are, shout you out. We appreciate you. Be easy, love God, love people. Until next time.